95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. That's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction, it's a documentary. Every human, and this is a fact, every human first 7 years is download hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings, and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. I say, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Sure. And basically said you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it, life's a struggle, things are hard, who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the programming. 95% of our life, this is a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of the life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%.
So your life is being lived, even though you think you're living your life.
Exactly, and you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports them. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen, why you're working so hard, inevitably, you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of strength and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably it's a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in 2 fundamental ways naturally. Hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition, practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. And once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind, hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person, I say, you want to be a happy person? Then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. I say, well, you don't look happy or anything. I say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. Okay. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there will be a point once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
It'll be automatic.
And that's why we see people do affirmations and gratitude journals and stuff, because if you do that daily,
It's repetitive. That's the secret part. Look, putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. But you have to do, repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of repeating it to make it work.
First and foremost, leadership all stems from communication.
Okay.
And so if you are a leader, as that leader, you should have a vision. You should have, you should be able to kind of wake up and go to sleep, or someone asks you at any point in the day, like, what does this look like in a year from now? What does this look like 5 years from now?
Right.
And if you're like, I don't know, like how in the world are you leading others, toward that, if you don't know where you're going? And it all stems from communication.
This question comes up all the time, right? And I love that it comes up, right? Because being a great leader has to evolve, because people aren't static, right? People are dynamic, right? So it's important that we continue.
All right, welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is going to be a live recording. It's our first of 4 series, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, gents. I got Mr. Neil, and I got Mr. Ben and Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get it together, but I always say it's perfect doing. It's perfect doing. That's why I want to show the inspiration and get you this mindset, as we say before. How you doing, gents?
Doing very well today. How are you?
All right. How you doing in Florida, Ben and Matt? There. Bueno. Are you there? I got Neil there.
I'm here. I can hear you just good fine. Guys in Florida having a little audio
what about
issue.
Ben and Matt? Hey, perfect doing. We still keep it going. Can you guys hear me okay? See here.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you
now.
I can hear you.
Perfect. Fantastic.
We'll go from there.
I got you now.
So we said absolutely incredible video. We love it. We appreciate you sharing that. That video was killer. I was taking notes while we were watching it, man. I'm excited, Nicholas. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's about the mindset. It says the first 7 years, we get used to what our parents tell us on there. My goal with my daughter, I would say no, but not at this time. So I try to give her the mind that you can continue. You can make this happen if you do it. But we get in the habit of the first 7 years. All this thinking can drive us through our coming years right now, where we think we can't do it. But if we get rid of that thinking, program our minds positive, start telling our kids at that time, yes, you can do it, and good job, but hey, make it happen. For example, Neil, his child, don't you agree on that, Neil?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think you've got to keep being positive. You can do it, no matter what type of hurdles are out there.
Yep, completely agree.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
I always tell my kids, you're the smartest boys on earth, except for me, because I want them to have that belief that I'm always just a little bit smarter. Look at it.
Just a little bit. Yeah, I hear that. Just a little bit. Well, gents, people who's watching right there, if you see on here, let us know. Let us know what type of business or service that you have, because the purpose of this on this 4th series, we're going to help you learn how to grow your business and how these gents here and me at times, the sales, what's your sales techniques and your marketing and how to handle your business on there. But the first series, this right here, I just want the screen here. I keep getting where it says bad internet connection. Can you see that on you guys in? Can you see that on your end? Okay, it's on my end. So what I'll do, I continue. Must go on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start in order. I'm going to start with Matt, And Ben, you guys, I'm gonna ask the question, then I'm gonna go up with Neil. And then, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on here, we're just gonna go around. Whoever got an answer, like me and Matt, we can go on this whole series if we had to, though. But we're gonna try to give each other time to answer these questions, get to know. So, Ben, let me ask you first. Like I said on the
Okay.
service, you okay with Dr. Ben or
Ben,
Dr. Spears?
Ben's fine. Dr. Ben, I couldn't care less. I'm good with any of it.
Okay. I believe in that. That's one thing we're missing too is courtesy, I think. We miss a lot of courtesy. Don't just assume. So here's the question. On how did you guys meet up? If they have people haven't watched the videos, if they haven't watched the
Yeah.
series, they need to watch the series.
I could make this a long story, but I'll keep it short. Long story short,
One more thing. Time out, ladies and gentlemen. We got a section here because I get passionate, and I want you to join. I don't think I got you, Neil. If we go with time, which Matt has a blooper, Matt and Ben has a blooper. If we go over that time, we're gonna say amen. So we're gonna try to keep the answers no more than a minute and a half.
I love it.
So how'd you guys meet up? Dr.
Yeah. So I was chiropractor for a few years in Kentucky. My wife got offered her dream job in Tampa, and I sold that business. I moved down here, got into real estate. Met Matt through real estate. He's been a broker for 25, 30 years, something like that. And we really just connected, and he has a lot of really good ideas. I'm really good at weaponizing things, and so here we are. We started Prospect Boomerang together, just a couple years ago.
That's awesome. Which Matt, you was in a school field, right? Recently, or back in the field.
Yeah, not recently. So a long
What got you
time
into real estate?
Yeah, so $1 million club. I saw a sign that said $1 million club, and I want to make $1 million. That's how little I know about it. And so I jumped in and got my license, got rolling, bought a company real quick, turned around, got it going, and sold it, and then went to work for some other bigger brokerages to kind of learn how to be smarter about real estate, and just fell in love with the business side of real estate. Right. So I kind of tell people I'm a business person in real estate instead of a real estate person in business. Yeah. And that just kind of puts into perspective, how I grew. And that's how I met Ben. And, that's the thing that we've got in common the most. Both of us just love business. Right. We like figuring it out. We like getting to the bottom of it. We like helping, so that was a natural fit for us. So that's how we met. That's how I got into it.
That's awesome. Neil, how'd you get into business?
Wow. It was a little bit of a long path to get there, crazy story, one I would never recommend anybody doing. I left one of the big national firms, CPA firms back in the early 2000s to go to a mid-sized firm where we were all promised the world. And I'd been there about 6, 7, 8 weeks in tax season. The two partners got in a fight, walked out and said, here, take over, buy us out today. And I was, 26 or 27 years old and had at that time no business probably doing that, but I said, I'm going to do it anyway. That's how I got involved. I was not planning on it. It just happened one day.
Okay. Now that leads to the question, how did you guys build your sales? I'll go with you first. We'll just go around. How'd you, build your business? How'd you go about getting sales? Starting out.
Starting out, you took anybody with a pulse starting out. It's what I did.
Right.
I probably wouldn't recommend that, as the older life looking back, I wouldn't recommend that approach, but that's what I did. And it took a lot of time to really evolve to say, what am I looking for in a more ideal client long-term, and building some relationships and trying to figure out who's going to be a great referral source for you, because those referral sources are much better, I've found out, than a cold lead. You got a much better closing rate, and you kind of have an idea of who you're getting. Because if Matt or Ben were to send me somebody, I would kind of know who they work with, who they deal with, what kind of person. Makes for a much better client long term.
That's right. and they're more pure. You know, it's not a cold lead, as I say. It's more of a warm. They already know you. So gents, what was your strategy, or what works for you for your
Rock,
sales?
paper, scissors, who goes first? Do I have one? Oh,
Yeah,
it's
Let's
me.
go with yeah, exactly, yeah.
you just gotta say what he said.
So we like to be strategic about it, but we're kind of old school, right? And the funny thing is, a lot of times when people talk about it, they think those two things are different, and they're truly not, right? So we like connecting with people, but we're going to make sure that they're getting value from us first, right? But we want to track how many times they open an email, right? We want to know how many times we've reached out to them and connected with them. We want to know how many lead magnets they've downloaded from us. We want to know all of those things. How much are they listening to the podcast, right? We want to track the things that we can track, and we want to see what's growing, and then we keep an eye on those things, and the things that are working, that are doing well, we find a way of, like Ben says, he'll weaponize it, right? If we can find a way of getting more opportunity from it, we do. But everything with us is just value first. Man, people could listen to our podcast just like yours, Nicholas and Neil. That people can listen to the podcast and they can get so much out of it. They can really grow their business and help themselves out if they just tune into it, because we believe in giving that out first. And then we just track the metrics to see who's tuning in and what they're tuning into. And then we just try to help them on that part of what they do.
Yeah, eventually that reciprocity just comes back, right? You've given so much value that as you call and you say, hey, did you get the newsletter that we sent out? Or, I saw that you downloaded that guide. We're just calling, and it's genuine. We're just calling to make sure, did you get your download? If not, we'll send it to you immediately. After they've heard of the podcast or seen some of the other content that we've produced and all that value being given, it's just one of those things where they say, well, tell me a little bit more, Matt. Like, very similar questions like you asked, Nicholas, like, where are you from? Tell us, how did you get into business? That kind of thing. And they really start, kind of engaging and wanting to get to know more about you versus, you having to start with those questions, those small talk questions of what are your goals for the next 12 months and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, we have people that we'll reach out to 10, 12, 15 times. We'll start with, did you get the download? You never know how many times things go to junk mail, right? So did you get the download? We'll start with that, and then we'll follow up and we'll connect with them. We'll leave 10 or 12 messages. We'll send them emails. We'll make sure they get the things that they ask for. And then so many times we've called and they're like, man, I really appreciate you staying in touch. I'm sorry I've been busy. Let's book a discovery call so we can sit down and really take a look at how you can help me out with my business. We love the podcast. We love the downloads, but they're just busy. They got a lot of things going on.
Yep.
And if we just one and done with them and don't try to continue delivering value, then we're going to end up waiting until they stumble back across us. We're not willing to do that. We want to make sure that we stay as connected with people as possible and that we're as valuable as possible. So,
And follow up, correct? Follow up.
oh yes, that's the old school. Oh yeah.
Right. Follow up, not too pushy. Try to give them
Follow up
value.
and follow through.
That's right. So here's the question. Here's what I'm going to do, gents, because this is our first and value. And I appreciate like I'm gonna tell a story if you guys are watching on there. I met you guys on LinkedIn. Make sure you guys, if you don't have a LinkedIn, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or however you're getting this live audio, go to LinkedIn. It's free and it's value, build value. But I met these guys through LinkedIn. But we had a common interest. People work with people they like, know, and trust, and it's all about the law of magnetism, and attraction. Me and Ben kind of met together by a post by the great Bob Berg. The book is called Go Givers. Awesome book. If you don't have it, go and get it. Bob Berg and Dr. John, what's the
David Mann, I think.
Yeah,
David Mann. I apologize. Matter of fact, I interviewed him and his wife on there. But it's all about I always say you're gonna get your blessing regardless. Blessing is a favor, Just keep giving, and you'll get people trusting. People work with people they like, know, and trust. Same as Neil. Met Neil the same way. We was posting, giving each other's likes and shares and opinion, and here we are. But for sales, I want to stick to the topic here. How did you start your sales? Here's a question. What I'm going to do, so I can try to guide this the right way, to give them some guidance at the end of this, because I want you guys to tune in. I want go to this guide. Let me hit this guide here. gents, because this is the first service here. Make sure you download this free Google guide where you'll get a copy of this video and you're going to get some nuggets. We call it value nuggets. We want to get your questions. That's the purpose. I need you guys questions where we'll answer your questions, or we'll answer it on the guide also. That way we're going to build, the key word is content. The content is going to lead to your follow-up, where you can follow up with that whatever client you have or that potential client, where what I used to do was referral. I used to get my leads from referral. So when I was in the real estate field and a mortgage broker. So if I dealt with a mortgage broker, or so I was a mortgage broker, if I dealt with a real estate broker or a real estate agent, most real estate agents, their passion is not marketing. So what I used to do, I'm old school. I used to get that big, thick book out for Yellow Pages, the yellow books, and call their street line and say, "Hi, this is Nicholas. I represent a AB mortgage company. We wanted to see if you guys like a free comps comparison." Go down the line in an hour. I got about 5 or 10 leads. Call the next day. I could be calling Matt. "How you doing, Matt? This is Nicholas. You don't know me for a can of paint though, but I got this customer that wants to get a free comps. Would you be happy to help her? I can give you 2 or 3 leads a day. Let me know what you think." Then I'll come back to that person in 3 to 4 days, Matt, and say, "Hey, how'd it go?" You know, I'm going to look for you to give me value back and say, "Hey, Nick, I got this person to do a refinance. Or I got this person that's doing a listing. Would you be able to go out there and give them a free qualify on a loan?" And that's value, because I'm doing this person's work. I ain't gonna say it's work on this, but I'm giving them a lead in the form of commission, as we say, a commission. But I'm building value compared to Matt may say. I had people that say, "Man, ain't nobody did my own telemarketing before," but that's a stronger lead, But that's just one form. That's what I believe in. Yeah. But we're gonna put that down, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I want you to put the free guide where Matt and Ben gave examples. Now I love for example. Do you have any examples or suggestions, Neil, for your business? Because you deal with different type of fields in the business.
Yeah, completely. We're in the accounting, accounting and tax world. So one of the things that you've got to do, everyone's mentioned, is you've got to be able to provide value, because you can commoditize an accounting service, you can commoditize a tax service, you can get it anywhere. So what you want to be able to do to differentiate yourself is be able to add value and to educate, and not always be thinking about what's going to be in it for me. One of the things I really try and do is how can I match different people up for different types of transactions, different types of real estate deals, different types of services. Nothing coming back to me from that, and no commissions, no overrides. Just how can I match up these people, because I think they would be a good fit, whether that's somebody looking for a job, another business service, or something totally off the wall, saying, "Hey, I remember 3 years ago, Nick was looking for, a floral business, and I know somebody in the floral business that wants out. How can I try and get these guys together?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good.
It's value. Yeah. So here's a question I'm going to go by, gents. We're going to make this a little short in the next 5 to 10 minutes, which I appreciate you guys joining in, and you guys joining in on the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it. So I'm going to go with some questions, gents, and you just have your way at it. You'd be happy to answer. I may answer also, but here's a few questions, and here's a template that you can use for this next four weeks that you can use for your marketing, where you'll build value. If you don't have any questions, you can go on Google and type in sales. Sales question. How do I build my sales business, or whatever fields? For example, give me a question. What question people normally ask for, Neil? Business. I'm just going to give an example. What do people normally ask you for their business?
Yeah, one of the questions we get asked a lot is not necessarily about anything we do day to day. But who do we know? Is a real common question. Who do we know?
That's an example. You can type that in. People is called PAA. People also ask for it. You can make a list of 5 to 10 of that, and you can put the answers on that. That's going to be your follow-up, where you can follow up and start sending them information to the email. Once you got your email, it's not pushing. You're building value. That's what my point is. So I'm going to add this on to the guide, ladies and gents. Put that in your guide, your download guide, and that'll be your template. That'll be your template. But I'm going to go, gents. What we're going to do now, because it's a sale, is also focus on as we gather together. We want to deal with a targeted market, but sales are just sales. But in time, if you need us, whether we got a chiropractor or whether we got someone selling that's doing plumbing or whatever, you still got to have sales. But we're going to teach you methods just to get started, how to do your marketing. So, but here are questions that I want you guys to answer, the authority figure. How do you attract customers? You want you
Yeah,
guys to answer?
yeah. I'll take that one. I'll go first on that because I like the marketing questions more than I do the sales questions. That's more math. That's more math. Well, as far as attracting, customers, I think you really need to look at what stage of business or what the life cycle of your product or your service is. And I learned this late in my business life. Whereas, if you're just launching something, right? You're marketing that for those innovators, those early adapters. And Jeffrey Moore, who's coming on our podcast, wrote a great book. It's called Crossing the Chasm, and he talks specifically about the gap between that sales cycle of innovators, early adapters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. But there's a gap between early adapters and early majority, which is the bulk of your people, where he says, listen, those early majority, they need testimonials before they're going to buy. Mm-hmm. The early adapters and the innovators, they say, I don't need that. I just want to be in the new, and I'm okay with dealing with all the bugs, right? And so they're not great testimonials for those early majority. They don't want to hear about bugs and all the problems that they had. So that's where I feel like when it comes to attracting customers, you really need to know the stage of business or the life cycle of your product or service, because then you can position yourself, say, this is the biggest and best new thing if you're doing a Google ad or a Facebook ad, or if you're just on the phone going through the yellow pages, just like you said, that's a completely different script that you're going to be talking about or talking to those people. And so I would say the first and foremost thing as far as attracting your customers is knowing who your customer is, know your audience. Right. So that you can actually convey the message that you send. Because if you have a product or a service that no one's heard of, and you go in and you start talking about, all the features and, blah, 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 and how this has helped nobody, nobody other than an innovator, which is the very smallest population of your buyers is going to be interested in that. So just know your sales cycle, know your product and service, know your business, so that you can know what to say. Whenever you market it.
And what I'm going to jump on and just build on that, if that's okay. So once you have an idea of who that is, you need to know where their attention is. Once you have an idea of where the audience is or who the audience is, you need to know where they're paying attention. So let me give you a great example of that. So we help brokers with recruiting. We coach a lot of brokers how to level up their business. Okay. Now we know that a lot of brokers don't listen to podcasts. Right? But we still wanted to do a podcast. The reason why is because we knew that the people that we wanted to deal with, that's where their attention was. That's the type of platform that we wanted to be connected with. And the other people that we wanted to be connected with that was also connected with our audience, they love podcasts.
Yeah. Innovators and early adapters love podcasts.
And so that's what we wanted to do is we wanted to get the attention. We wanted to see who it was, know who the audience was, and then we wanted to see where their attention was. And that's how we created what we call top of funnel. Now everybody hears funnel all the time. Okay. I'm not going to get into the whole funnel conversation, right? It's a great conversation and it's absolutely accurate. There's a ton of information out there. We're not going to get into that. Sure. But once you have people in that top of funnel, the mistake that a lot of people make is they forget what got them into that funnel. And so they know their audience, right? And then maybe they come across where their audience's attention is, and then they get them into the funnel, and then they start doing things that has nothing to do with the audience or where they got their attention from, right? And so they actually put people into the funnel and then scare them back out of the funnel because they didn't focus on the things that actually began that part of the conversation with them. So that's what we pay a lot of attention to, and with our dynamic, So Ben pays a ton of attention to the funnel and to the marketing and to the top of that. And then I pay a ton of attention to the content and what it has to do specifically with certain parts of the sales cycle and all of that. And so we make sure we have a check and balance and we talk to each other, which I know you and Neil do as well. You got to check and balance to kind of make sure that we don't forget who our audience is. We don't forget where we got them from. We don't forget what they told us that they needed from us, because otherwise it's like identifying an audience and then trying to sell them a product they don't care about. They don't. Right. And what am I going to do? Force it on them? You can't force it on them these days. Never should have, but you certainly can't these days. So that's right.
Right. So what's their pain point?
That's right. And how's it going to solve the issue that they're having? The way that you know that it's going to solve that issue is if you can engage with them and take that information and actually help. So in other words, have some communication with them instead of just saying, you have to take this solution. Man, those days are freaking over, and thank God. I'm
right. Forced. Yeah, don't be forced. Yeah, right. Okay. Next question. Would you like to join in, Neil?
Yeah, okay. I think one of the great things is in our industry is not trying to force something down their throat or a commodity, but it's how do you solve what we call the $1 million problem?
Right.
You know, Matt said, what's the pain point? But how can you solve the $1 million problem, or what keeps them up at night about their business?
Yeah, that's huge.
That was making it so valuable.
That's what they're really wanting. They're not wanting, a nicely prepared set of, maybe they are, nice set of financial statements. They're wanting someone to help solve the problem that keeps them up in their business at night.
Yeah. Right. And so when it comes to sales, I think another place that people would speaking to exactly what Neil's saying, they don't pay attention to the KPIs, right? They don't pay attention to the key performance indicators. And if you're talking to the customer that doesn't, one of the most valuable things you can help them out with on the front end is help them understand, what KPIs first are available for them to be looking at, whether the lead and lag measure, right? And then the next thing is, which one of those do they really need to focus on to get where they're going? Because, sometimes they just look at the lag measures, right? They're only looking at the scoreboard and they're missing the play that's happening in front of them. 40X is such a great book. If nobody's read that, it goes into this in depth. But
called 40X?
40X, 4 Disciplines of Execution. Yeah, it's an incredible book. Talks a lot about lead and lag measures, and it goes a lot into this on making sure you're focusing on the right thing. And so whenever we're dealing with coaching clients, a lot of times we'll ask them, hey, what are you paying attention to in your business? And they don't know, right? They're paying attention to what's happening every day, right? They're paying attention to what's going on right in front of them. And so we kind of help them step back and take a look at everything and then pick the things that matter the most. Well, as soon as they start doing that, the opportunity in their business starts to rise because they're paying attention to where they need that to happen. So a lot of times when you're talking about sales, it's not just about go run more Facebook ads. It's not about send more postcards out. It's not about make more phone calls. It is about, do you need more phone calls in order to get where you want to profitability wise? Because some people, if they take in more phone calls, all it does is distracts them and they don't make any more money because they're no good at converting the phone calls, or they have no way of tracking it, or their follow-up is right. So all of those things matter. So it's, paying attention to those KPIs is a big part of making sure they're going to succeed with sales, because sales isn't just about leads. We tell people all the time, agents act like they want leads, but what they really want is transactions. There's a huge difference between the two. And if they don't pay close attention to it, they get caught chasing the lead and they lose out on the transaction. And the transaction, the close of that is when they get paid. And so then they're looking around wondering, hey, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. And the truth is they need to pay attention to certain KPIs and see what's happening to the leads that they have. And then maybe you don't need to build as much business, you just need to convert more. And at this point, I will stop talking.
Amen.
Amen.
No problem. That was strong. That was a good answer, as you said. That was a good answer. That was deep. So, Neil, did you want to join in? Or did you have any questions?
No, I think Matt and Ben hit that one out of the park.
Okay. So here's the question. We got 5 minutes and we'll be done. We'll be wrapping it up, gents. If I was starting out new, I wouldn't say if I was starting out new. If I've been doing sales, my sales is lacking, what would you do? What would you guys do to improve your sales? How would you start out? No, but small budget also. No PPC, as we see, pay per click or whatever, but small budget. How would you start out?
Don't
How would you
take
start
away
your
all.
business, Neil?
Away
Let's
all
start
the
with Neil.
toys.
Let's start with Neil. How would you start your business? Just straight out. If you didn't have, too much, but no, you can't do pay per click and the rig mail piece or whatever. You gotta have a small budget. How would you start out?
Well, one of the things I think that's really important that you're going to have to figure out whether you're starting out or you're a later stage cycle is you're going to have to develop some centers of influence is what we call them. Based off your particular field, who is going to be able to help provide value to
That's
you
right.
and help send customers to you, and be able to identify those and start building the relationships with them, because reaching out and providing them value, providing them education, that doesn't cost anything.
That's right.
We're in the accounting field, so a lot of times people in the banking industry are very good referral sources for us. It doesn't cost anything to develop those relationships.
Right.
If we know that there's a new tax law change, or there is something that we think is important that they can share with their customers to look like a hero, sharing that data with them is providing the value, and they're going to know that's what you're going to provide to everybody. That is how I would start out. That costs nothing.
That's value. That's the key word. I
Yeah.
keep hearing that. Value, 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 value. Network with value. Don't be expecting. It's just gonna happen. It's gonna draw to you. You can walk up the street or take a bus to one bank, other bank. Just introduce yourself.
Right.
Any way I can help out, show value and constantly show value. What do you need? Did you get a referral that sent to you? They want to open a new checking account. What do you do, Nicholas? Oh, I'm an accountant.
Yep, that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man,
So
I'm
going to expand on that, and I'm going to give it to Matt. And I'm going to give it to Matt, like I always do on our show. So let me first and foremost say 100% I agree with Neil's answer. The sphere of influence, like connecting with people, in your network, in your market, in just where you live. Absolutely, 100%. That's the answer. But I don't want the three of us to give the same answer. So I'm going to expand on that just a little bit.
But we agree. That's what's working. So it's value. Just give. That's why we want the listeners to learn when we're starting out. People want to learn how to grow their sales. But in the car business, when I was doing sales or whatever, you got numbers. If they come back, I mean, you didn't do it correct. Yeah, you just crap. You just crap. You wasn't worried about the customer. When I started selling cars, when I got hired, he said, "Man, make sure you get with this person. Those other people do not go over there." My first month, 12 cars sold, 10 of them referrals, 2 of them was up. Meaning I met the customer.
Right.
So I was just giving value. You got to be. I was professional. I did more than what it takes. Value is the key. It doesn't cost to help, to be it. Don't be expected. If you what they call it, if you so dang, I gotta have it, gotta get this sale, it's gonna come right back to you. Hey, I want my money back.
Desperation.
That's the way. Yeah, that's the key.
Commission.
People can feel it. If they can feel like you're desperate, nah, I want my money back. Give me my money back, Matt.
Absolutely, completely agree with that. So, expanding a little bit on what Neil said, with sphere of influence, one way, especially, because I'm a little bit introverted, actually, but one way to do that is by using social media, right? And so I can produce content like every second of the day about my expertise and share that out with my marketplace. It is 100% absolutely free. If I've got this little thing right here, I can produce content that I can send out. If I find somebody that I want to connect with, gosh, I can send them a video message if I don't feel really comfortable, like making a cold call, that kind of thing. Sharing with them the expertise that I have. And now I'm going to give you the ultimate hack. The ultimate hack in my mind, growing your business and growing your sphere of influence with like zero budget whatsoever.
All right, drum roll.
Start a podcast immediately.
Wow.
Because because when I got into real estate and I moved to Florida and I knew nobody, I said, how am I going to meet people? Because I'm not great at like going to networking events and trading cards and shaking hands. That's not my jam. I'm not successful at that. And people who are, man, I'm so jealous. But what I did say is, I can start a podcast and I can go, I printed off the top 100 most influential people in Tampa. And I just went down the list, and I went on Instagram. Well, you want to be on my show? Do you want to be on my show? Do you want to be on my show? And I got a million no's. And I got a bunch of yeses. And every time that I met someone, they're like, man, I love this show. It was so good. Do you know anybody else? And they would introduce me to somebody else. Then that person would introduce me to 2 other people. And then I meet, Bob Berg. And then now I'm talking to Nicholas Brown. Now Nicholas, introduces me to Neil Denman, right? And then we transition that, and I met Matt, a couple years after I had started that podcast. I'm like, Matt, man, you got a good podcast, that kind of thing. And now I just, sit back and I just listen. I let Matt Millions come out, and the podcast is so much better than anything I've ever done. But it is the ultimate hack as far as growing a sphere of influence, and it is so much fun. And I think like to actually syndicate your podcast on all these different platforms. You can do it as little as $6 a month. I know you said no budget, but man, $6.
$6 somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
miss coffee. Yeah, it's coffee. Miss lunch or whatever. Can you do That's that? Right. Yeah, it's out there. Exposure on there. That's an example. Well, hey, gents, I'm going to wrap this up. And if you guys are watching in, listening in, or whatever, because this also is going to be a podcast. It's going to be a podcast series on there. Make sure you guys, download that and subscribe. So, any last words? Because I'm going to give you homework. Let me do the call to action, as we say, Ben. Let me get the call to action. This is free, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be able to download this Google guide, and we're going to put value on there as we go these next 4 weeks. Those 4 weeks, but I'm gonna put some suggestions and some ways you can build your business. I'm gonna go with the marketing, but I don't have any rebuttals. That's why I wanted to get to Matt and Neil on there. What's rebuttals? Do you have any rebuttals for yourselves? Well, I don't think you do, but I want to get that. But I'd love to get some information. I'm gonna write some rebuttals this weekend. I'm gonna put that in the guide. That's the purpose of the guide, ladies and gentlemen, for your sales. So if you're having a problem on growing your sales, this is powerful here. Share this information and follow through with that guide. You can always reach out to me. You can reach out to them because I'm going to have the link on there if you got any questions. So what we're going to do is this next following Friday, same time, we're going to have that. So share this information. Someone starting a business or someone in business, but the goal isn't trying to grow their sales or grow their business sales team. That's what we do. That's what we're here for. But our goal is, which I thank God for them. I appreciate you guys. It's about getting started. You won't know until you start. So I think I'm appreciative for Dr. Ben. I'm going to call you. I'm going to advise you. Dr. Ben, Mr. Matt, and Mr. Neil. I appreciate you guys coming on. I really do.
Thank you so much.
It's all about networking. People work with people they like, know, and trust. And, I trust you guys. I appreciate you guys. So we will stay tuned. We're going to get this done. So what I'm going to do, gents, I'm going to follow through. I'm going to finish this with some inspiration from the great Mamba. He never did quit. He was in from 4 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock in the next morning. Practices his goal. He wanted to complete that. He never did quit. So it's about inspiration in your following. So that when I'm gonna I'm gonna finish off by saying, don't condemn, don't complain, because you have a choice to make a change. Thanks for coming on, gents. Got any last words? Y'all got any last words before we finish this inspiration?
I can't wait till next week.
Yep. See you next week.
All right. Thanks.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Right.
You can be mentored by people who aren't alive.
100%. Because their stories still live. These muses are here. It's important to learn from them. Because you realize they're people just like us. They made mistakes just like us. And they kept going. We can do the same.
They say we die twice. Once when the breath leaves our body, and once when the last person we know says our name.
And he would be shooting baskets in the dark because they hadn't even turned the lights on yet. He'd be there an hour, 2 hours before everybody. Everybody would be at breakfast, and he would show up fully sweated out, like he'd just done 3 hours of work, and before anybody did anything.
How much harder will you work in this offseason now to get back to the championship?
I push myself to exhaustion. I play games with the flu. I play games with 102-degree fever, man. And I made a promise to myself. I was going to work that hard every single day. When I do retire, I have no regrets. If I could work that hard every day, what would my career be?
Lower Marion High School in Pennsylvania.
This kid right here, mark my words, is going to be unbelievable.
There you see Kobe Bryant in the foreground, the man many have dubbed the next Michael Jordan.
He wants it so bad and he's willing to go to the extreme at the age of 34 playing 38 minutes. That's ludicrous. He's cursed as much as I am. He just want to get to the offensive end and go one-on-one. I'm going to make his ass work now. It was fun to be out there.
This man played with a broken finger and won a championship. To Garnett, back to Kobe.
For the Los Angeles Lakers, a three-peat and a sweep.
Their fourth NBA championship.
The LA Lakers, the 2010 NBA champions.
Falls down, and he is hurting. But the Lakers need him at the free throw line.
My family walks in. I had tears in my eyes. And, they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm like, it's all right. Dad's going to be all right. We'll be fine. As a parent, you got to set the example. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not going to be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm going to step away on my own terms. We all have shit that we go through. We all have obstacles that were in our way at some point or another. We all had doubt. But we chose. Using the darker emotions, the anger or resentment or frustration and sadness, using that as a weapon. No matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready. I've really learned to put one foot in front of the other, because eventually that storm passes.
Those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream.
I didn't know if I could do it. It was my daughter who kind of put things in perspective for me. Gianna, she's now 13, and she was like, well, you always tell us to go for it. We're not on this stage just because of talent or ability. We're up here because of 4 a.m. We're up here because of 2-a-days or 5-a-days. We're up here because we had a dream and let nothing stand in our way. If anything tried to bring us down, we used it to make us strong. We were never satisfied, never finished. We'll never be retired.
That's how you have to be if you want to be a winner. There's just no way around it.
Rest at the end, not in the middle. And I took that to heart. My next dream is to be honored one day for inspiring the next generation of athletes to have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle.
Uncommon amongst uncommon people.
A 60-point game. What an exit for number 24. You couldn't have written this.
And the Oscar goes to Dear Basketball.
Yesterday was supposed to be a celebratory day, and then we got tragic news about Kobe Bryant. and everything changed in a second. Life is short and it's fragile, and we don't know how many birthdays we have, so celebrate life. And if you haven't told someone you love them, do it now. Do it. Tell people you love them. Call your friends, text your friends, hug them, kiss them.
And when I took it to the Laker game, we just had so much fun because for the first time I was seeing the game through her eyes. And she had such a great time. As a father, you just...
That's all you want. That's all you can ask for.
Yes.
No one knows how much time we have. That's why we must live in the moment. We must enjoy the moment.
It was her. Like, she was having such a good time, and the players were coming up and saying hi to her, and you know, Brown was talking about her fadeaway and all. You know,
we must reach and see and spend as much time as we can with our families and friends and the people that we absolutely love.
The most important thing in life is how your career moves and touches those around you, and how it carries forward to the next generation. Do you realize that's what makes true greatness?